Okay guys, so it's been another couple of days, and I've still got the hide in the tub here. Actually have a bucket holding it down, a bucket full of water, or halfway full of water, and then an old pulley from a sewing machine, and the plastic part just holding it down. I was just using that to hold it down underneath the water. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing out. I'm going to put it on the pole and the fleshing pole, and see if we can't see if that hair doesn't come off a little easier today. So let me go ahead and get this thing out of here and get it hung up there on the pole, which is right behind me. And maybe I'll just leave the camera like that. Get this thing out. This thing weighs a ton. It's soaked up so much water. And it's greasy and slippery and everything else. And smelly a little bit. Okay, so let's give this a shot and see if it comes out a little easier today. You know what? Let me pause the camera. I'm gonna take this shirt and stuff off so we don't get all crudded up. So let me go ahead and pause this. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna go ahead and work this thing a little bit and see what happens. That right there is a good sign. Let me move this camera a little closer so you can see what's going on. Oops. Okay, so if you can grab it and pull out the hair like that, that's a very, very, very good sign that it's a little better than it was. So, oh yeah, look at that. And that's what you're looking for. Coming off pretty good. Still might have a couple spots where it won't come off, and if it does, we'll soak it some more. There's no sense in killing yourself trying to get this hair out if it's not ready to come out. You know, it's not been that. It's been warm here in Ohio, but it's not been so warm that it can't soak. Important thing is that if it does get warm and you have this thing in the soak outside, change your water every once in a while. That way you don't get it doesn't get real smelly. Okay, let me go ahead and work on this for a little bit and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so I'm taking this hair off. The reason I wanted this thing belly height at the beginning of the video was so that I could put I got a rag here just because I don't want to get my clothes too bad. But I got a rag here and I just put my pressure up against it, and it keeps this hide from sliding down anywhere. That way when you're working on these edges, you can just slide this thing down just close to the edge, put that in there, and you can pin it, and you can work all these edges off. And that's the reason I like it belly height. It seems to make things a little easier to work. Because believe it or not, this hide gets really heavy when it's mostly all hanging off the pole, and it barely wants to stay on this thing. But you put your rag or whatever, you don't even have to use a rag, I just do it to keep my clothes somewhat clean. Put your rag on there and you can pin it and spot in place and work the hide that way. This hide's close. There's still going to be some hair on it. I'm going to end up soaking it again for a little longer again. But probably only one more day after this of soaking, and then we'll finish de-hairing it and we'll green it at the same time. But most of the hair is coming out. By the time I get done here in about 20 minutes or so, about 90% of the hair will be out of this hide, and that'll be a good thing. Then all I have to do is concentrate on the little bit of hair that's left next time, and then we'll get the epidermal off, at least as much as we can, and then it'll be time to string it up. So let me go ahead and get this to where it's ready to. I get most of the hair off it, and right before I put it back in the soak, I will go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'm going to change the water in the soak too, because it has been warm out, and I want to make sure I keep fresh water in there so it doesn't get stinky. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've been at it for about 45 minutes now, and you can see here it's almost got all the hair off of it. There's a section up here at the end where it's still stuck on there. So that's where I wanted to show you guys. That's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and change the water in our tub down here. I'm going to go ahead and change the water in our tub down here because it's getting kind of nasty. I'll put 10 gallons or 12 gallons of fresh water in there and 2 more capfuls of lye after I put the fresh water in. And then we'll put the skin back in. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what it looks like after it's in there again soaking. Okay guys, so I got about 6 gallons, probably 5 gallons of water in here. I'm going to go ahead, add 2 capfuls, not 2 more, just 2 capfuls of our lye to this again. This is just 100% lye. There's 1, 2 capfuls of that, and really all this is what it says right on here, 100% lye, and it is a household drain cleaner, but you gotta watch because not all of them are 100% lye. Some of them have other chemicals in them too. I found that, I think, on the internet, and I ended up buying a whole case of it, so I had enough for a lifetime actually. And so you can just kind of keep your eye out for that. We're going to give it a little stir. Make sure we get all that lye nice and mixed up in there. I just mix it until I can't see the crystals anymore. Add a little more water. Give it one more final mix just for the heck of it. Now remember, you could do the same process without the lye. It just takes a little bit longer. And if you didn't want to use household lye, like 100% household lye, you could use wood ash. But you'd have to put a bigger concentration of it in there, obviously. And you could get the same effect. So now that we have the lye water here, I'm going to go ahead and put that skin back in, and I'll go ahead and grab the skin, put it right back in there, and we'll leave it soak some more. When I put it in, I want to make sure I get all the hair parts down in there real good. I think that little bit that was that the hair didn't really come off that real well was floating a little bit to the top of the water because you could tell it was still a little bit on the hard side instead of nice and pliable and rubbery. So we'll take this hide and we will just stick it in there, hair side down, and work it down in there so that the hair gets nice and wet, and then work it in. And obviously with the hair off of it, it's gotten a lot smaller, so, well, not smaller, but it's not as thick and heavy. Then we'll put our weights back on here just to weight it down under the water. And we'll put our bucket back on here, which I'll have to go get half a bucket of water and just stick it on top there. And make sure we got all the hair down in there so it gets a good soak. And when you're done, wash your hands good because you are putting your hands in Drano, essentially. So, and that goes with the wood ash too. It'll dry your hands out pretty quick and stuff. So now we're just going to leave it soak. I'll leave it soak for another day. Probably tomorrow after work I'll come and I'll set the camera up again. We'll take it out. We'll finish taking off the little bit of hair that's on there and we'll grain it. And if it doesn't get dark on me, maybe we'll string it up on the skin, on the string. If it does get dark on me, we'll probably just, well actually no, we won't. We'll de-skin it or dehair it, finish dehairing it, and we'll grain it. And then tomorrow, after we get done with that, we'll change this water out. We'll get rid of the lye, and we'll put just a nice tub of fresh water here. And we'll soak the skin probably overnight in the fresh water. And then come the next day, I'll dump the fresh water, probably first thing in the morning before work. Put new fresh water in and put the skin back in. And I'll keep changing that water out for a day or so, because at that point you're trying to neutralize the skin. You want to get all that lye back out of it. So anyways, that's where we're at now. I will clean up my mess here a little bit and put that half a bucket of water on there to weight the skin down, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, I'm back. It's been a couple days now. I got busy at work and didn't get back to this, so this thing's been soaking plenty long now. So we're gonna go ahead and take the hide out of there, and we're gonna, actually got rained. It's Friday and I got rained out. It's been raining pretty good, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing out of this water bath. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get this thing ready to go. Take our half a bucket of water out of here. Like so, and our weeding objects. And the cat's gonna help me out today. There's George, by the way, if you guys haven't met him yet. And then we'll get this hide out. And put it on the pole. Okay, let me get that camera set up and we will dehair the rest of that and start graining it and get this thing buttoned up so we can re-soak it again in fresh. Okay, so I'm going to finish dehairing this thing, and I'm doing it kind of from a distance because it's raining out and I don't want my camera standing in the water, but we'll just finish off this little bit of hair on here. Like so. And when I work this hair off, I work it right off to the end of the wood, off the end of the skin into the wood. That way you take all the hair off and don't leave a little bit on the edge. The edges of this eye is going to end up getting cut off anyways, because the part with the little tiny holes in it, I'm stringing it up, will be gone. That's it. We're just going to work that around all the way until we get all this hair off, and then we'll go to graining this thing. This thing's been soaking for a while, and this hair is still pretty tight in here in this one section. So it is what it is. We'll just work it till we get it done. So let me go ahead and work on this for a little bit and get out of the rain for a few minutes, and I will get back with you. Okay guys, this thing is basically, the hair's all off of it now. So I'm going to actually, it's starting to rain pretty good out, so I'm actually going to take a break. I'm going to move everything in just underneath the door here so we're kind of not working in the rain the whole time. and I'll go ahead and we'll start degraining it. But for right now, I'm gonna shut the camera off and move everything sort of in here just real quick, because this is getting to be kind of wet. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll back this camera up. Probably work right here, because all we got to do left, well, all we have left is to grain it, and then we will be done with that part of the hide work, which will be nice. Okay, so I just stuck this thing in here just underneath the door. I'll have to turn some lights on here because it's a little dark, but we're going to go ahead and start graining this thing. So we'll get the hide out. I'm going to pause the camera again real quick. We'll get the hide out, and we will put it on here, and I'll probably lean my 2 boards up against there too, just for some extra little bit of stability here. And then we will start graining this thing. Okay, let's get back to graining this thing. Now I'm going to move this camera kind of close. Set it up so I can see it too. And I know I went over this once before, but it can't hurt to go over again. When you're graining this thing, we'll see how steady this is going to be too, sitting here like this. And I'm trying to not block the camera, but there's a light when you're taking the, I guess this would be the epidermal layer off this. You'll see it come off. It comes off in real thin pieces as you work it, and it's kind of hard to see it sometimes, but it's coming off. I actually need to sharpen this up just a smidgen, but in fact, let me go ahead and do that real quick. Let me pause this and sharpen this just a hair. Okay, I'm back. When I say sharpen this thing, I mean I just want a nice edge on it, but not an edge that I can still run my finger up and down it, and I'm not going to get cut or anything like that. But you want it to be a nice sharp edge. I don't even know how to explain it. Once you get to doing these, you'll figure it out. And then you just want to take that membrane off there. And I need to start back here a little bit farther. And it's just a matter of turning the skin wherever you can to get it to work out for you. And then you just take it off. You can see this real thin stuff coming off, and that's what you're wanting to take off. And you'll see it come off because it changes the whole look of the piece. And like I said, we're trying to get as much as we can off this way. If we miss a piece, we'll get it when we sand it, when we stretch it out and sand it, and that'll be the next thing after we get done doing this. So let me go ahead and just work on this for a bit, because this is kind of meticulous. This will take you a while. But it'll help out in the long run. You get that hair layer of membrane off there, and it'll really soak up the brain tan a lot better, and make a better looking hide when it's all said and done. And I mean, some hides you could do this right as you're taking the hair off, and I was going to do that with this, but my time limit on this thing is so short because I only get a little bit of time to work on it here and there. It was just easier for me to show you to take the hair off first, and as I was taking the hair off, I was trying to get as much of the membrane off as I could without spending a whole lot of time on it. And I knew I was going to have to come back and do this again anyways. But a lot of guys will do this all in one shot. They'll just take the extra time and just do it. And sometimes it makes it easy to do. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. I like to do that too sometimes, but this hide was so heavy compared to some of the other hides that I've done that I decided to go ahead and do it this way because of time and heaviness and everything else. So let me go ahead and work on this thing for a little bit, and then when I get a little further down the road, I'll kind of show you where I'm at. Like I said, you guys don't want to watch me do this whole hide like this. My videos, I know, are already pretty boring because I don't mean to do that to you guys, but I try to explain things as in-depth as I can. So my videos end up being very long compared to a lot of videos out there on YouTube, but it is what it is. You know, if you want to, I'm trying to teach something that's, and I want to try to teach it good so that people can do this without having to look back at any other videos. So, not that it's not a good idea to look at other videos too, because a lot of people have a lot of different ways to do things. So, you know, so let me go ahead and work this thing, and I'll get back with you. Hey guys, I figured I'd turn this camera back on real quick because I wanted to show you, this is a really good example of the skin underneath the epidermal layer and the epidermal layer coming off right here, and you can see it coming off. It's a really thicker part of the skin, so it's coming off pretty easily. But you know, and you just got to kind of work your way around, and you can see it comes off in kind of like strings. It's not really strings, but if I was to describe it, I guess I would say that it's almost like a layer of fat coming off of it in a way. Except for you, it's definitely, you know, elastic. Got like a little elastic like feel to it. But, I just figured I would throw that in there so you guys can actually see what it looks like. Right there's what you want, right there's what you don't want. Okay, the hide's all done. It's grained. I got that tub of water filling up, so all we're going to do now is soak it in that tub of water and keep changing the water until we're confident that most of the lye is out of it. So that's the next process, and I will throw it in the tub, and I'll see you in the next segment.